South Sudan is the youngest country in the world, and according to a new report from the U.S. State Department, it's off to a pretty bleak start. Almost 400,000 people killed, half of them killed in the conflict, the other half dying of hunger and disease. Now, previously, prior to this report, the estimates had only been in the tens of thousands, but now it looks like the numbers of deaths in South Sudan are approaching the number that have died in the conflict in Syria. Pretty bleak, but it wasn't always like this. Now, in the 1990s, there was no South Sudan. Sudan was one country, and it was embroiled in the longest-running civil war in the continent. However, there were some perks. At that point, Sudan had lots of oil to sell, and China was pouring in investments. And that is when the sanctions rolled in. Sudan was declared to be a state sponsor of terror. Bill Clinton bombed a factory in 1998 that he said was making chemical weapons.
Our forces also attacked a factory in Sudan associated with the bin Laden network. The factory was involved in the production of materials for chemical weapons.
But actually, the factory was just making medicine. No evidence of chemical weapons has ever been produced. Now, the USA pushed for South Sudan's independence. In 2011, the USA hailed South Sudan for breaking away and becoming a new country.
We warmly welcome the Republic of South Sudan into the community of sovereign nations.
But the euphoria did not last long.
It breaks my heart to see what South Sudan has become today.
The country fell into a civil war between rival clans. The president turned against the vice president, and mass killings and hunger ensued. And all this killing was a headache for the United Nations. So, with a new administration now in the White House, the U.S. role in South Sudan is being reassessed.
The United States government will not continue in a partnership with leaders who are only interested in perpetuating an endless war characterized by ethnically motivated atrocities. The government of South Sudan has lost credibility, and the United States is losing patience.
Yes, South Sudan is yet another example of the U.S. State Department telling us that they're going to go rescue some poor oppressed people on the other side of the planet. And then they're left spending money to analyze results, showing that the conditions overall are getting a lot worse.
To an extent, the world seemed to have forgotten about South Sudan. Not too long ago, it was the world that was rallying together to form this new nation, then at the expense of northern Sudan, which was run by Bashir. And it would appear that petty politics between the Chinese and the US in terms of their respective influences on those countries have meant that, for now at least, the world seems to have forgotten about the Sudan crisis, seems to have forgotten about the displacement of people, women and children, and displacement of children across the nation, and it's very much an impoverished state. And of course, we know that a lot of things do not work effectively in South Sudan, and for all intents and purposes, the West and the international community seems to have turned a blind eye.